Well, Big D, back in FS, we start championship week. Spunky Spectrum Sports. Always check out my content, check out my stream, recap the division round this weekend with crazy games. Never know what to appear. And joining me, usually we talk golf, but thought we could wrangle and talk about his New England Patriots. That would be LIV Golf writer and what are you now? Content creator, Matt Vincenzi. So, Matt, Patriots in an AFC Championship game. Does it feel like it's been 7 years or 7 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. I grew up going to parades just about every single year and skipping school to go to parades with my friends. And, so we're kind of used to winning championships around here. And then, so the 5 or 6 down years kind of felt like, for me, like it was okay. It wasn't a big deal because we won so much that it was, just going with the flow. And I'm pretty surprised that we're back here already. So it kind of feels like it's been less than 7 years, but it just shows too that rebuilds don't really have to take all that long if you do it the right way.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like a couple of years ago, the Chicago Bears got the #1 pick and don't even beat the Rams.
Yeah, yep, that's right.
And even look at my team, the Jacksonville Jaguars were putrid last year and could have, maybe if a few breaks had gone away, beating the Bills, but that's a story for another day. In New England, we know the Patriots love playing in cold weather, and yesterday it was cold, it was raining, it was snowy. It looked like a little bit of a snow globe game. And looking back on that game, CJ Stroud looked like a damsel in distress against your defense because I don't know if CJ Stroud. I mean, yeah, he was out without Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz, but he looked so discombobulated. What do you think caused it?
Yeah, I think it was a lot to do with, I think, Vrabel does a good job of dialing up different looks to confuse the quarterback. And we've seen that the last 2 playoff games. And I think the defense obviously did a great job. I think having Milton Williams pressure through the middle has made a huge difference since he's been back in the last 2 games after he missed the last few weeks of the season. I think Gonzalez had a fantastic game. And I think Carlton Davis has been really good. He's got a lot of flags this year, but that's because they have to throw at him a lot with Gonzalez on the other side. But I thought he's done a really good job. And Stroud, obviously, he underperformed. He made some really questionable decisions, so he might not be the answer for them long term.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that interception call that Davis made. I mean, the throw that was returned for a touchdown, just one that can't be made. I mean, can't be made. And then Jones, Mr. Do Everything for the Patriots this year, Marcus Jones. He could be a punt returner. He could be a defensive back, a wide receiver. Heck, if the Patriots needed a wildcat quarterback, he could do that.
Yeah, he does it all for the Patriots. And we've kind of had that, kind of old school Patriots mentality where you have guys just buying into the role and embracing their role and doing whatever it takes to win. And he's definitely one of those guys.
Yeah, in many ways, does this Patriot team remind you of those Patriot teams in the 2000s with a certain coach and a certain quarterback?
It reminds me most of the 2001 team because, especially in these playoffs, because it's more so managing the game, trying not to make mistakes, even though Drake made a few yesterday, but relying on your defense, some really star-powered players on defense, running the ball. Stevenson kind of looked like, kind of like Corey Dillon back then, in 03. And so ball control, and Drake is still developing, just like Brady in 2001, obviously wasn't the same player as Brady in 2007, 8, 2009. I think Brady was probably a better game manager. Drake was more of a talented passer at that stage of his career. But I also think the offensive line needs to be shored up a little bit. And I think it was probably better back then. But the defense is making plays, and it reminds me most of the 2001 team. And a big reason why is because the Patriots seem to be getting those breaks that you need to get to go on a Super Bowl run.
Yeah, and in many ways, guess what wins in December and January football? Defense, run the ball, quarterback manages the game. You know what? That's pretty darn effective now. I mean, quarterback. I mean, yeah, Drake Maye wasn't great. He was sacked a sacked 5 times against the Chargers, and 5 more times yesterday. I think he fumbled 2 or 3 times, but it never seemed like Drake Maye was rushed. May could rely on his running game, could rely on his defense. Whether it be Ramondre or Travion Henderson, even May himself can run.
The difference for me this year with May and these other quarterbacks who have struggled, whether it be Herbert or Stroud, so he's made some mistakes. He's fumbled the ball too many times, made some questionable decisions, but he always tends to make that big play to make up for it. Like some of the passes he made, the one to Booty on that incredible catch was a perfect pass. The one to Diggs, kind of underrated how perfect of a pass that was. He makes it up with big plays here and there, where these other guys like Stroud, they made those mistakes, but they couldn't really make that big play to change the game.
Yeah, I mean we all talk about the Caleb throw to Cole Kmet or Stafford's throw to Devontae. I think Drake Maye's throw to Booty right on the money. And by the way, that's not against a scrub corner. That's against Derek Stingley Jr., the other top corner next to Sertan and Gonzalez.
Yeah, and that's one of the best. I'm trying to think. We've had a lot of good catches in our history, but where that ranks amongst the Patriots' best catches, it's definitely up there with the degree of difficulty in the moment. And it seemed really big because at the end of the day, it didn't seem like the Texans had a chance to win. But at that very moment, that the game was getting pretty tight before he made that catch.
Yeah, and it's not just Diggs. I mean, it could be Booty. Pop Douglas caught a touchdown. Hunter Henry making plays.
Austin Hooper had a couple plays.
And the Patriots just doing what they need to do. So, every team needs a quarterback. And I mean, I think Patriot fans were spoiled for 20 years with Tom Brady. And then the Patriots went through a whatever run of quarterbacks, but Drake Maye's been the guy. What excites you every time Drake Maye suits up?
I mean, he's just dynamic. He can make all the throws. He can move. He can run. I think coming out, a lot of us thought the best case scenario for kind of what Drake Maye would be Josh Allen. Just a similar build. He's a tall quarterback who's athletic. He has a huge arm. But now I think we've seen Allen kind of struggle in playoffs and not be able to get to the Super Bowl in 9 seasons, where now it feels like Maye ceiling could be higher than Josh Allen's. And, I think there's a lot of excitement, and we feel like we hit the lottery having, another thing I want to mention too is I know he was drafted by Elliott Wolf, but Belichick took a lot of heat for his draft picks. A lot of some draft picks that he had the year before he left are really panning out now for this Patriots team, like Christian Gonzalez, Kayshon Boutte, he drafted late, a guy who can't draft wide receivers, so he made some good picks. But we're definitely excited about Maye, and we got lucky for 20 years to get Brady in the 6th round, and I think we're gonna luck out again.
Yeah, I mean, and there were no issues about Drake Maye's talent. It was just he didn't really play a lot of football in North Carolina, and watch him. You wondered if Maye would be ready, especially last year, where honestly that Patriot coaching staff was one of the worst I've ever seen. I mean, you talk about worst coach in NFL history. The two worst are Urban Meyer and Bobby Petrino, but Gerard Mayo is probably in that same group with who was the guy in San Francisco, Mike Tomzula.
Yeah, that's right. After they fired Harbaugh.
Yeah, and now
I think that speaks to a really important point here with just a culture, and that goes from teams from high school to college to pro sports. Changing the culture and resetting the culture for a franchise can change everything. You saw it in Jacksonville. Cohen kind of came in and people kind of made fun of him for that Duval thing, but he immediately changed the culture. And the biggest thing about that is the players are believing. If the players believe in what you're telling them and they trust you that you're making the right decisions, they're going to want to play for you and they're going to play harder and good things are going to happen. I think the culture reset for Vrabel, that kind of made all the difference.
Yeah, and you know what else helped? Josh McDaniels might suck as a head coach, but he's a brilliant offensive coordinator. And I think having a young coach with a young quarterback with a veteran coach helps. Josh McDaniels seen every situation, seen every defense. So he's like, okay, I know what this did. I know what this did. I know what this did. And he got to be the sidekick with Tom Brady forever and ever.
And now he has the luxury of a quarterback who can move and scramble and get outside of the pocket, so that he probably feels like he has a huge bag of tricks that he hasn't been able to unload until this point of his career.
Yeah, especially now with line play the way it is, do you think the days of pocket quarterbacks might be coming to an end?
Well, I think it seems like even the players who are good in the pocket have to be able to move a little bit. And actually, spoiler, I think Jarrett Stidham has trouble with that from his time in New England. He's kind of heavy-footed. He doesn't move around all that well, and I think that's going to be an issue this week. But yeah, I think in the end of the day, and part of that is development. These quarterbacks coming up, they're teaching them how to move, but there's also the opposite effect where it almost feels like that mental side of the game they're losing. We saw Phillip Rivers, who sat for 5 years, be able to come in and kind of pick apart defenses and be able to dissect what they were doing and call plays at the line, whereas a lot of the quarterbacks these days can't do that. So I think in the end, there'll be a regression back to the pocket quarterback again. And I think, as usual, the kind of truth and the best solution is somewhere in the middle between those two things.
Yeah, have enough athleticism, but enough brain power and arm strength where the quarterback's not deficient in all three. And the quarterback's got enough arm to play in appalling weather, enough athleticism to escape Will Anderson, and enough brain power to see where's the blitzing linebacker. It's the slot corner coming. How do I stop? How do I keep the cornerback still for an extra quarter second?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think these new, I think the best quarterbacks to me are the ones who are like the balance of like we just talked about. But you got Drake Maye, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and even Trevor Lawrence, to the fact where they're athletic enough to get out of the pocket and make a play and pick up a first down with their feet, but they're also able to dissect the defense and can throw in the pocket if that's what the defense is asking them to do.
Yeah, and also it helps these quarterbacks are big. I mean, Drake Maye's what, 6'4". I mean, Trevor's 6'6". I think having a big quarterback helps. Although it's weird, every time I see a big quarterback's pass hit the grass, it's like, why would a quarterback's pass end up getting rejected?
Yeah, right.
But are Patriot fans in a way spoiled from all the success? Because I bet you, maybe not the football fans in general, because I think a lot of us like Drake Maye, but are football fans sick and tired of New England being in the AFC Championship? Because I think this is what, the fifth straight decade that the Patriots are going to end up in an AFC Championship game.
Yeah, I do think they're sick of it for sure, because you can tell by the backlash kind of on social media where everyone's talking about the road they took to the Super Bowl. And
you mean the fact that the Patriots played the easiest schedule in 10 years?
That's right, but I don't remember this being a huge talking point when the greatest show on turf with the Rams had the easiest schedule in the regular season, and then they played the Patriots in the Super Bowl in 2001, or that might have been in 2000 against the Titans. Either way, they played the easiest regular season schedule that year, and it really wasn't as much of a talking point. And yes, the schedule was easy for sure, but we did beat the Bills one time. And then in the playoffs, we're playing the last two teams that we've played have both had the defensive DVOA in the top 6 in the league. So, we say May can't beat. In reality, he's not playing the other team's offense. He's playing the other team's defense. And we've played some good defenses. And the other aspect of this is even after Nico Collins was out, all these analysts were picking Houston to win the game. You look at the popular bets from Patrick Everson, who's posting the most popular bets on DraftKings and BetMGM. 60-70% of the tickets are on the Texans. And then the Patriots win. And now you're saying it was an easy game. Well, then why did everyone pick the Texans to win then?
I don't know. I mean, Bill Parcells said you own what your record says you are, and you know what? They play the games for a reason. I don't care if you're playing Rugby State. Just suit up and play. I mean, you know what? Maybe it's a break that the Patriots played a fourth place schedule. It's not Mike Vrabel's fault.
No, and I mean, some of the teams that we played, it's not like we barely beat them. For example, Carolina, we blew Carolina out. Well, they beat the Rams. It's the NFL. Anyone can beat anybody on any given Sunday, and the Patriots took care of business when they had to. They really weren't even involved in that many close games, after that first 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, and the Patriots lost to the Raiders and Steelers, and both of those teams are looking for new head coaches.
Yeah, first 2 games of the season, I think people just kind of getting used to the new system and what it was going to be like. And then since then, it's been all uphill.
And then, of course, the Patriots spent, what, a couple $100 million in free agency, and I think we saw that in spades. Milton Williams is back, Steph Diggs, Colin Davis has made a big play.
Blaine had some good days
on defense. I think Aaron Landry got a couple tackles. I mean, it's not one guy, but just a bunch of guys everywhere.
Yeah, and I think we still have a lot of cap space remaining after this year too. One of the most in the league. So we although we spent a lot, we still have a lot more to spend. And I think you could see maybe go to get a Max Crosby, a great pass rusher to add to this team, and we can still add regardless. So people are saying it's house money, and it's not a cop out of going forward. If the Patriots win the Super Bowl or don't win the Super Bowl, either way, they're in a fantastic spot and where the franchise is.
Or maybe solidify the offensive line. We'll talk more about the offensive line in a little bit. Where does Christian Gonzalez rank in terms of the NFL's top cornerbacks? Because I think there are 3 or 4 cornerbacks. Patrick Surtain Jr., who the Patriots will be seeing a lot of this weekend. Stingley, maybe Witherspoon, Seattle. Where does Gonzalez rank in your eyes?
I'd say him and Surtain are the 2 best, and we're going to see them against each other on Sunday, and that's a great kind of fun thing to watch. And Gonzalez he's been great. The rap on him coming out of college was he's a little bit brittle, didn't want to tackle. He's kind of been hurt a little bit, and I'd say that's the biggest knock is his availability, kind of. But he's been really healthy kind of towards the end of the season. And early this year, when the Patriots were playing a lot of zone, he didn't quite look as great as he has recently when he's been kind of matching up man-to-man more often, and I think he feels really comfortable doing that. And he's been more of a willing tackler than I've expected him to be, but I think he's either 1 or 2 in the league, and he's going to get paid a lot of money pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I looked it up. I think the Patriots are like 40-something million in cap space, depending on what website you look at. But, of course, teams can change the cap space just by kicking the can down the curve. That's how the New Orleans Saints get under the cap every year, because they're in cap, what.
Well, yeah, the local radio host around here, Mike Felger, always says the cap is crap. So,
and yet the Philadelphia Eagles can afford 17 stalls on both sides of the ball, and yet they still can't win in the play. And yet the Eagles still can't beat teams in the playoffs. Well, that's a story for another day.
Yep.
So, what's different between a Bill Belichick coach team and a Mike Vrabel coach team? Because honestly, I don't really see a lot differently. I mean, maybe the fact that Vrabel was a player and maybe is more player friendly, but I see this. I see the same X's and O's. Is that what you see?
Yeah, the product on the field looks really similar. Like you mentioned, the difference to me is in the locker room, where Vrabel's a player's coach, but he's also a guy who sets the culture and holds players accountable. So Maye was a player's coach, whereas he let them do whatever they wanted and he had no control of the locker room. Whereas Vrabel's a player's coach that the guys respect him and they want to run through a brick wall for him. And so I think that's kind of the difference between him and Belichick. I also think he probably gives Maye even though it's McDaniels' offense, I think his philosophy in general, he gives Maye more of a leash than I think Belichick probably would. He'd probably have him hand it off 3 times and short check down passes, and he kind of allows these players to be themselves a little bit more. You got a guy like Diggs who's been great in the locker room, who kind of brings that, I guess, swagger to the team where they're doing these celebrations more so than you would have seen when Belichick's time. But overall, I think scheme wise and what we're seeing on the field product looks, I agree with you, very similar.
And I think in a way you see where a good coach leaves one program or one team and joins another, and what happens? Tennessee Titans have been awful since firing Mike Vrabel. Michigan football, not the same one iota since Jim Harbaugh left. Who knows what the Ravens are going to be without John Harbaugh? The Steelers, the fact that the Steelers don't have Mike Tomlin, a little something. The Detroit Lions this year definitely miss Ben Johnson. I think we saw that last night, and saw that in Chicago. The Philadelphia Eagles definitely miss Kellen Moore because the offense. I don't know what happened to Jalen Hurts. That one almost hurt me.
Yeah, I think we see. I mean, a lot of these teams, especially Tennessee, you have a sustained success. It's really hard to win Super Bowls and get over that hump. But if you have a team that's going to the playoffs regularly and winning a lot of games, and people seem to take that for granted and think there's always something better out there, but the grass isn't always greener. I think we're going to see the Baltimore, what they did was a mistake, and they're giving the keys to Lamar instead of trusting their coach. I think maybe even Buffalo. McDermott had a lot of success. I know he couldn't win the big one, but they fired him today. So I think sometimes we're taking these coaches for granted, but to be determined.
And now look at the Bills. The Bills fired Sean McDermott, not because he's a bad coach, but because the Bills can't win a Super Bowl with the world's greatest quarterback.
Yeah, and I think they're covering up for the mistakes that the GM has made because they have one of the best quarterbacks in the world, and they haven't really surrounded them with the pieces. They really haven't got him a number one receiver since Diggs left. Mistakes in the draft. They drafted wide receivers who aren't panning out. Defense, not enough playmakers on the defense. So offensive line still has issues. So I think that's more of a GM deficiency than it was the head coach.
Yeah, and I think with the Bills, the fact that Sean McDermott's a defensive guy, and the Bills made Bo Nixon the John Elway 2.0 before his injury.
Yeah.
Bo Nix threw for 279, 3 touchdowns, despite not having the ball much of the game. The Bills controlled the clock over 40 minutes. The Broncos barely had it 29.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who they bring in and if they would see that's an upgrade or not.
I have a suspicion on who the Bills bring in as their next head coach, and he's familiar to the Buffalo area.
Is it Dayball?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's probably a safe bet. But how can you see what he did with the Giants and think that's that much of an upgrade over McDermott unless it's just appeasing Allen and trying to make him comfortable?
Brian Daboll won a playoff game with Daniel Jones. Brian Daboll won more playoff games with Daniel Jones than Justin Herbert's done in his career.
That's a good point.
And Daboll's an offense guy, and if Josh Allen's got 3 or 4 prime years left, let's go.
Yep. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay, and back to your Patriots. Championship Sunday against the Broncos. Boy, this feels like a matchup from like 10, 12, 20 years ago. Broncos and Patriots. First off, Bo Nix is out with the ankle injury, so former Patriot quarterback Jarrett Stidham will be starting. How much do you think not having to worry about Bo Nix helps New England?
Oh, I think it helps him a lot because Bo Nix, I don't think he's the best quarterback in the world, but I do think he can make plays, and I think he's a gamer, and I think he can get outside the pocket and hurt you that way. And Stidham is kind of the opposite. I think he's a pocket passer. He's a tough time moving around, and he hasn't thrown a pass in 2 years. I think he was the only backup quarterback not to have thrown a pass all season. So I think they're going to be in trouble. And you mentioned a lot of memories. That being said, those are the only memories I have that really aren't good ones, the Denver ones.
Yeah, 2005 division round loss, 2013 AFC Championship game loss, 2015 AFC Championship game loss, and that was with a certain Tom Brady, and certain Tom Brady on the center. So how is Drake Maye going to handle Sean Payton and this Bronco defense in his first road playoff start? Because better than anyone, Denver, not an easy place to play.
No, and Vrabel said today they're not going until Saturday, so they're not going to have much time to acclimate to the altitude. And it's a tough place to play. I wonder how much of it was Brady. I know Brady didn't like playing there, but the Patriots did seem to have more trouble than any other team playing there. But it's going to be tough. I mean, especially if Knicks was there, it would have been even tougher. So I think they're going to have a tough time. Drake's Maye's going to have a tough time. They need to take care of the football because I'm trying to think of, I've been trying to think of my score prediction. I have a hard time seeing Denver scoring a lot of points unless the Patriots turn the ball over.
Or get sacked.
Or get sacked and sack fumbles. And yeah, I think that's Denver's obviously path. They need to create some turnovers and muddy the game up.
Yeah, and also you look at it, Drake Maye's been sacked 10 times in 2 playoff games. And guess which defense led the league in sacks? I know Denver's defense has leaked the way down the stretch a little bit, Jacksonville, Buffalo. But the Broncos get after the quarterback better than most. And I think Sean Payton's going to say that his guys, we're going to need to create plays.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And I think the narrative is the Patriots think people in New England think the Patriots are going to roll over Denver. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's going to be a very tough game. Definitely not counting our chickens before they hatch here in terms of going to the Super Bowl. It's a tough place to play. It's going to be a very difficult game. And, the point spread, I think, is 5.5. I mean, I think Denver has a great chance to cover that number.
And plus, we know these we know Sean Payton and the Broncos play 1-score games. I mean, Sean Payton and the Broncos have won 12 1-score games.
Yeah, right.
And plus, there's always something with playing at altitude. I don't know what it is.
It's going to be a wonky game, and I think the greatest strength of the Patriots is our run defense. So I think that's going to be a key in stopping them. If RJ Harvey gets going, but with Milt Williams back and Christian Barmore playing really well, I think the key is going to be stopping the run and putting Stidham in 3rd and longs.
By the way, I just looked up the forecast in Denver, and do you want the news of what it will be in Denver this Sunday?
Yeah.
Sunny and a temperature of 45 degrees.
Wow, not too bad.
I don't know what's with Denver and AFC Championship games being mild. I think the last 2 won like 50 and 60.
Yeah, a lot of people last week were saying they thought Patriots were going to love that it was snowy and cold, but this isn't the same Patriots team. And I don't know if Drake really likes it that cold growing up in North Carolina.
I'm not sure if CJ Stroud liked it growing up in wherever he did.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I think CJ Stroud's a California guy, if my memory serves me right.
Yeah, I think so.
Although Caleb and Matt Stafford seemed just fine in Chicago last night.
Yeah, what a crazy game that was. Although, I don't know if he seemed just fine. Towards the end he did, but he had he went 5 or 6 drives, 3 and out. I think they only had 1 first down in the second half until that final drive when they went up 17-10.
Yeah, it was. I think the Rams put together like 3 decent drives the whole game. The first drive with the scripted plays, the second common touchdown, and then the play where Stafford hit, and then last drive where Stafford hit Adams and Puka for a couple of big plays.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all they needed because the defense played really well. But that'll be an interesting game too over there in the NFC.
Yeah, between Rams Seahawks, third time.
Yes.
Third time. I think it'll be a little closer than 49ers Seahawks was, but that's not important.
Yep, I will say I have a different opinion on most in that game. I think the Rams win the game.
You think the offensive Sean McVay would beat the defensive Sean McVay?
Yeah, I think just familiarity is going to be, and I think a lot of people are quick to just put the Seahawks in the Super Bowl because they've been destroying teams, but the style makes the fight. You see these different matchups and different things happen, and I think the Rams getting through that tough overtime game, and they're going to be more prepared to play in a close game, I think, than Seattle has been because they really haven't been in one in a while, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I don't even think, and be honest with you, I think you would agree that San Francisco team was on fumes. I mean, how they beat the Eagles is a miracle in itself, but maybe that's why the Eagles' offensive coordinator is now out of a job.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us are waiting for Sam Darnold to turn back into a pumpkin.
or ghosts.
Yeah, I think that could happen this week too. I would not be surprised if Darnold threw 3 picks to the Rams.
Are you worried about New England's offensive line? Because if there's one issue with this New England team, I think the right side of the offensive line, everybody's saying Will Campbell's the bust. I'm like, he's a rookie left tackle starting in the playoffs. I think Will Campbell's fine. Rookie left guard. The right side of the O-line, not that great.
Yeah, I think both sides are struggling, and I think Campbell will be the first one to tell you he's not playing his best football, but he's had some really, really tough assignments against some great defenses, and he's done okay. He's not perfect, but he's been okay. He's still getting better. Right side, yeah, has been a struggle, and then I think Jared Wilson at left guard has struggled a little bit in these playoffs as well. I think his more natural position is center, and he played great early in the year, but since he was out with an injury, then he came back and he hasn't looked quite as good these last few weeks. So definitely need Campbell and Jared Wilson, but I think that a couple games of playoff success under their belt will help going forward. But that's the biggest concern. It's how the Patriots offensive line holds up against this Denver defensive line, as you said, leads the league in sacks. That's the storyline of the game. And if the Broncos want to win, that's how they're going to have to do it.
What's the over-under of the game of the AFC Championship game? It's got to be, 38, 39?
I want to say 40.5.
Let me see. AFC Championship 26 over under 41 40.5 to 41.5, depending on your sports book, which is more than what I thought it would be.
Yeah, I'd still like the under.
17-14. I think it's a low scoring game.
Yeah.
How New England put up 28 points against that Houston defense, but a lot of that was C.J. Stroud falling on his you-know-what.
Exactly. The Patriots offense didn't look all that great, but like I said earlier, just a couple of those big plays and big moments that got them through it.
You think Ramondre? I don't know what it is to me, but do the Patriots trust the rookie players? We haven't really seen a lot of Kyle Williams. We haven't really seen a lot of Travion Henderson. Do the Patriots trust their rookie offensive skill players?
I think they do, but I think Travion Henderson has been slightly disappointing in the playoffs. I mean, he's great when he has some open field. He can make one move and go, but Henderson is much better. Stevenson has much better vision. He finds the hole a lot better. He takes contact a little better. He fights through contact. So against these physical, great defenses like Denver and Houston, I think Stevenson's just the better matchup and use Henderson as the kind of change of pace back. Henderson doesn't seem to break any tackles, and he also doesn't seem to always find the hole. The issue with Stevenson early was his ball security, but that hasn't been a problem of late. So I think Stevenson's a guy they're kind of going to ride, like I mentioned, that Corey Dillon role.
I think Ramondre's a little bigger, and I think that size matters when the weather gets cold, and it's more a grinding out game.
Yeah, even when we had LeGarrette Blount running for us, the Patriots have always liked a bigger running back to kind of take the bulk, and then also have a little scat back, like Kevin Falk. I think Henderson's more of that guy.
And didn't James White have like 1 million catches in a Super Bowl?
Yeah, game-winning and the game-winning 2-point conversion.
Who was the Patriot running back in that first Super Bowl? Was it J.L. Redman?
Yeah, it was J.L. Redman. That's right. Made a big catch. Against the Rams on that game-winning drive.
A few guys made catch on that game-winning drive. So, and by the way, if the Patriots ended up in the Super Bowl, there's going to be a familiar opponent because played the Rams in 2 Super Bowls this century, and the Seahawks might not be the Legion of Boom, but there could be some fireworks in that game.
Both rematches. I was thinking about that yesterday, and then even if Denver plays Seattle, that's a rematch as well. But I hope we get a rematch, and I'd like a rematch of the Rams game because that one in 2018, 2019 was not a very good game.
That was a stinker.
It might be the worst Super Bowl I think I can remember. I'm happy that we won, but I mean, from someone who's not a fan of either team, it must have been terrible.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the worst Super Bowl of all time. I think the Steelers beat the Vikings when the score was ugly in like Super Bowl 9, I think it was.
I remember one, the Ravens Giants, when the Ravens blew them out.
Yeah. And there were 3 touchdowns on 3 consecutive plays.
Yeah, yep.
And 2 of them were kick returns.
Yeah, and that game was kind of over before it even started.
And Trent Dilfer threw the best pass he ever threw in Tampa because he was a former Buck quarterback.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the Ravens got rid of him fast. Then the Ravens got rid of him faster than somebody could eat a crab cake in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Elvis Grbac, yeah,
Elvis Grbac, that's right.
from Michigan.
Right. Yep.
The other Michigan quarterback, not the one who played baseball, not the one who's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to look up Michigan quarterbacks who have done something in the NFL, not named Tom Brady or Elvis Grbac, or I think Drew Henson was the other one, right?
Well, yeah, he was the one who was starting over Brady. And I mean, how bad does that coach look now? He started over Brady, and he was a freshman coming in, or sophomore, and Brady was a senior.
Lloyd Cole won a national championship, but that's neither here nor there.
I don't think the one in Minnesota is all that good either. McCarthy.
Oh gosh, yeah. I think Viking fans probably rue not having Sam Darnold.
Yeah, that was definitely a mistake.
I don't know about you. Let's see. He's won 29 games if you count Saturday's NFC division round the last 2 years. That's more than any other quarterback.
Yep.
More than Allen, more than Mahomes, more than Burrow, more than Lamar. And I don't know. Every time I see Sam Darnold play, he wins. He throws JSN a touchdown, and we'll see what happens when he faces the Rams, because I think the Rams are going to put up more than 6 points this weekend.
Me too. And I think maybe it shows the Jets too how impatient they were with Darnold. I mean, he was the youngest quarterback coming out of the draft, and they gave him, only a couple of years, and he's still pretty young. I mean, they probably should have waited out a little bit for him.
Yeah, it turns out the New York Jets are probably one team you don't want to be drafted by. Yeah, I'll take Green Bay. I'll take the Rams. I'll take the Eagles. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Those teams know what they're doing. If I get drafted by the Detroit Lions, I know I'll be fine. If I get drafted by the Jets, I'm like, hell no.
It shows how much structure is important to these quarterbacks. There's so many what ifs if you look back. I mean, what if Manziel, I mean, not that he ever had the work ethic to do it, but what if David Carr was drafted by someone other than the Texans who had no offensive line? What he could have become. So structure, stability, offensive coordinator, good program, good defense, good offensive line, all those things are so important to the development of a quarterback.
And what happens if Bob Kraft isn't owning the Patriots? Because you remember those Patriot days in the early 90s where those teams couldn't even win a game.
No, I mean, my first Super Bowl memory, or football memory really, was Drew Bledsoe against the Packers in the Super Bowl. We got killed that game, so I don't remember before that. But after that, it's been pretty much all smooth sailing.
Yeah, other than a year or two where the Patriots are finding their next Tom Brady.
Right, Cam Newton years weren't great, and then Mac Jones is. Mac Jones played in Jacksonville, and he played pretty good for San Francisco too.
Yeah, everybody plays well in San Francisco, but that's
right. Because the system.
Yeah, I think Liam Cohen made a difference with Trevor this year. I mean, Trevor going in the playoffs on a heat. Unfortunately, we couldn't get enough stops. Otherwise, we would have ended up facing you guys, which would have been a fun game.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that would have been a tough one for the Patriots, I think. Probably the toughest matchup of any of them. And
now you end up with Stidham, but that's it. By the way, if the Broncos end up winning or getting into a Super Bowl, this could be a little like Jeff Hostetler for the Giants Super Bowl 25, and Nick Foles, Super Bowl 52, which Super Bowl 52, wait a minute. Didn't the Eagles run Philly special that day?
They did, and that was the game when Bill Belichick benched Malcolm Butler, who is our best corner for still nobody knows why, maybe one of the biggest mysteries in sports.
And Nick Foles had the day of all days.
Yeah, and Brady threw for over 500 yards.
And lost.
And lost, yep.
And Brandon Cooks was knocked out of the game when Malcolm Jenkins KO'd him.
Yeah, that kind of shows how a quarterback record is misleading, where everyone's like, oh, Brady lost the Super Bowl. He did everything he could possibly do to win that Super Bowl. The defense just could not stop the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Josh Allen. I mean, maybe on Saturday he gave it away. I mean, that fumble in the end of the half is inexcusable. But Josh Allen should not be blamed for the Bills' continued struggle in January.
No, those losses to Kansas City especially. I mean, he had the game won a couple of times. He went out and put a drive together to win the game.
And the defense couldn't get a stop with 13 seconds left.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely not Josh Allen's fault.
All right, Matt. Thanks for hopping on. Wish you Patriots well in Denver. Maybe this year the Patriots will make Drake Maye's day come true in the Rocky Mountains.
Let's see it. My prediction, I get 21-17 Patriots. Denver covers, Patriots win.
I'm done making predictions.